So let's talk about this crazy residential real estate market right now. Yep, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Biden just announced that he wants to penalize those of you who have done what you're supposed to do in your life and have good credit to be able to level the playing field between those people who are irresponsible and should be getting home mortgages. Seems real similar to what happened in 2008 when home equity lines of credit were being handed out like candy. Back when homes were being financed and refinanced for 120% of their actual value. And so here we sit once again in a position where the FHA is sitting back going, look, we require you to have PMI insurance, which is the personal mortgage insurance. And if you have a good credit score, 740 or better, we're going to charge you an extra 1% so that way it offsets the balance of the high-risk buyers that have less than a 640 credit score, which is absolutely absurd and crazy. Now, let's talk about this market and how this affects it, because money is just going to become tighter to be able to get from lending. Lending is going to become more complicated with PMI. And so investors that are credit worthy are now being pushed back, and they're being in a position where this is going to add at least $100 per month to their mortgage payments. And for a lot of people, that's a lot of money. With interest rates already as high as they are, now adding this PMI insurance requirement that Biden is proposing is going to add even more resistance to the market. So how has the market been affected right now? And what has happened over the last 12 months versus the last 24 months of what we were seeing back in 2021? So right now, ladies and gentlemen, there's still such a need for housing. The supply and demand is absolutely crazy. The average home price, not the average median, just the average home price is $392,000 in 2022 versus $305,000 in 2021. So still a huge increase year over year from what we saw in 2021 to 2022 and actually what we're seeing today, because the average median home price today is $375,000. Now, in 2022, for first-time home buyers, the average median price was $295,000, and the average median price in 2022 was $338,000 versus today, which is $375,000. So around $40,000 increase just year over year, in spite of what's happened with mortgage rates, because there's a supply and demand issue. There's 25% fewer homes available to people on the market, fewer homes on the market than what people are trying to purchase. In regards to that, that just results in a typical supply and demand issue. And so typical years in the United States, we sell off about 6 million homes. But according to the National Association of Realtors, the average year in the last 12 months has been 4.4 million homes. They're projecting it to be right between 4.1 and 4.4 million homes. So what does that mean for realtors? If you're a realtor, that means that there's almost 2 million homes that aren't being sold in comparison to just 24 months ago. And so the bandwidth for expendable income, commissions, and pay has went down for realtors. And so some of these realtors will end up back to work in other jobs, professions, and doing other things just because of the press in the market. Now, since 2021, home prices have increased by 7% in the West and in the Northeast. Okay, now listen to this, 8% in the Midwest. But if you live in the South, in spite of what's happening with interest rates, the price per home has increased by over 18% from 2021. So astronomical increases down in the South. Now, when you're going in, and we talk a lot about new builds, people that are going in buying that, building houses. I always tell people, the reason I go over this stuff is because I want people to understand what the average median home buyer is looking at in financial distress. Because when I go over these numbers, we're not talking about numbers in excess of $400,000. Not once in all of these examples do I talk about homes that are being sold in excess of $400,000. Every single example, we're talking about median or average home prices are all under the $400,000 threshold right now in 2021, 2022, and 2023. And if Biden has it his way, it's going to continue this way in 2024 as well. So it doesn't matter what your political ploy is or what if you're Republican or Democrat. It's just the truth of the economic market and standpoint of what's happening right now and where real estate sits based on what's happening governmentally and politically. And so whether you hate, like, love, or whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. We're just talking about real numbers. And so I compare this to our real numbers of what our business model actually promotes and reinforces and what we advocate for. So look, new build median home price in 2021, $365,000 compared to the existing new build median home price, $305,000, which means that new homes for new builders like Lennar Homes, D.R. Horton, KB Homes, Toll Brothers, all the big track builders, they have actually experienced a $60,000 new home build compression in spite of inflation and in spite of what's happening in the market, because there's so many new median homes that are on the market that people can't afford. Not that are on the market that are just out there on the market. They're just out there on the market, and the median home buyers can't afford it. And investors, fix and flippers, these are the people you're target marketing. People sit back and they say, I want to play it safe. I want to go in and just start off with a smaller home because it's safe. And I'm going to call bullshit on that right now because it's not safe. Any home that you're looking at not retaining to hold in lease, anything under $400,000 is a stupid investment right now. It's extremely stupid unless you're buying it distressed so that you're buying it at a discounted price. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you go in and you buy a $365,000 new build that was being sold in 2021 for $305,000, what do you think is going to happen to that house over the next 24 to 36 months in regards to its home value? As the market repairs itself and interest rates come back down, which it will, ladies and gentlemen, that house will be worth $365,000. So I'm calling a little bit of a little caps 22 here. So if you're going in, you're going to buy and hold. Right now is the perfect time to buy a new build under $365,000. Pick it up for a $65,000 discount. Now, if you're trying to fix and flip, you're trying to wholesale homes, and you're trying to go out there and do traditional investments like a lot of people do because it's the safe place to invest, you're in a market of hurt. Because how are you going to take values that are dropping on a median home from $365 on a new build to $305? There's no money to be made. The compression of the market's going to kill you. It's going to kill new home builders. That's why stocks have dropped on some of these large traded home builders, because they're sitting back with inventory that they once didn't have. Now, ladies and gentlemen, most of the homes that were sold in 2021, because home builders couldn't even keep up with the demand, were homes that were built post 1993. And now we're sitting back going, okay, how do we fulfill this void in the market, right? There's a supply and demand issue, but median home buyers can't afford them. Even though there's a supply and demand issue, all the demand that there is, if you can't afford it, doesn't matter. You can't meet the demand because the median home price doesn't support what the average income is for the average American person who can afford these homes. So what do you do as an individual? You market to the upper 24% of demographically upper middle class home buyers that are purchasing homes over the home price of $400,000. Because there's not one article, one statistic, and one negative ploy against upper median home buyers in excess of $400,000. In fact, when we were building homes in 2008, the average median home was selling for less than $180,000 per unit, and the average new construction home was selling for right around $240,000. So we were building homes that sold for $350,000 to $400,000. Now, the market has since changed, and since the market has since changed and the average median home is now selling for in excess of $340,000 per unit, we sit back and go, we need to be marketing to the upper middle class, the upper 24% of home buyers that still have good credit and affluency. Now, if we go out and in legislation allows what Biden is proposing the FHA to do with PMI insurance, we might lose the upper 24% of home buyers that are still mortgaging their homes. Right now, cash buyers are up by over 14%, ladies and gentlemen. 14%. That's right. New home cash buyers are purchasing homes. Upper middle class, people that have affluency, people that have money in the bank, they were originally borrowing money, because why wouldn't you take institutional money when it's available for almost nothing? When you could go in and you could purchase a home and get a mortgage on it for 2.5 to 3%, it's like free money, because by the time you write off the asset depreciation of 2% each year, the money is almost free. So if you're paying 2%, 2.5%, or 3% in interest, and you're writing off 2% of that on depreciation for your taxes, that means you're only paying 1% or less on your money. Now, today is the contrary. Interest rates have went up. People are sitting back going, well, my money's going to cost me money. So instead of me going out and using institutional money, it's going to cost me 6%, 7%. Why don't I just go in and use the cash that I had sitting in the bank, that it doesn't do any good sitting in single-family real estate right now or in the stock market? Why don't I put that into my end investment, which is my home? And so there's 14% increase of new home buyers that are paying cash for their assets. This is the market, ladies and gentlemen, that you should be focusing on if you're an investor or if you're a builder. If you're building homes, this is the market sector, the demographics that got us to the 2008 recession, and that's what's going to get you pushed through if you're building homes right now. You have to be marketing to the upper median. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of shifts in migration in the market right now. You have to pay attention to what's happening. And for those of you guys that are as busy as I am, working full-time jobs, have kids, trying to put food on the table, for those of you guys who want more market updates just like this, that are real business updates in the real estate sector as an investor, then click and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you're notified anytime I do a market update. Smash that thumbs up button if you found any value in what I talked about today. Continue following. I look forward to seeing you next time.